This lesson is on section 8.2 titled Solving Two-Step Equations. We've done stuff like this before, but it's a nice review, and we kick it up a little bit in the 7th grade chapter. All right, this is a two-step equation contains two operations. To solve a two-step equation, undo each operation in reverse order. And I always kind of said, always think opposite operation. So let's go into our first example. So solve 3 times some number plus 1 equals 7. Sometimes I have students that are like, oh, I can do this, mentally, which is great. If you cannot, I'm going to show you how you can do this to show work. And I want to encourage you to show work because when things get tougher, especially when you move on to math, even in high school, you're going to have to make sure you show work. So I'm going to show work on this one. So I'm going to think of what's the opposite of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 1 from this side. Again, our goal is to get our variable by itself. So we want to get rid of everything outside our variable. So what if I subtract 1 on one side of the equation? I'm going to subtract 1 on the opposite side of the equation. This cancels out. I'm going to bring down my 3 times my variable is going to equal 7 minus 1 is going to be 6. Divide both sides by 3. And the reason I'm dividing is because 3 is being multiplied by x, so the opposite of multiplication is division. So 3 divided by 3, cancel out to make 1. So I'm left with x equals 6 divided by 3 is going to equal 2. Oop, I said 2 and I wrote 3 equals 2. Now I'm going to plug the 2 back into the equation to check my work. So does 3 times 2 plus 1, does that equal 7? 7 does equal 7. That checks out. So I know my answer is 2. So now we're going to get a little bit tougher. It says 25 equals 1/4 of some number, 1/4 times n minus 3. Again, I want to get my variable by itself, that n by itself, so I want to get rid of everything around it. So I know the opposite of subtracting 3 is adding 3, so I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So that's going to cancel out. So I'm going to bring down everything I didn't do anything to. 25 plus 3 is going to be 28. Now, in order to get rid of my fraction, hopefully you remember this from previous chapters, I need to multiply it by its reciprocal. So I'm going to times this by 4 over 1. That's going to cancel out to make it 1. Times this by 4 over 1. So this cancel out to make 1. So 1n is the same as n, so I'm just going to put n. So I'm going to have 4 over 1 times 28. And I can put a 1 underneath there. So really my problem just turned into 28 times 4. And 28 times 4 is going to be 112. So 112 is going to equal n. Again, you can plug this into the equation. And for time's sake, I'm not going to be checking my work, but please make sure you do that. You're going to do 1/4 times 112. And then subtract 3 from it, and you should get 25. All right, my next example says 6 minus 3 times some number is going to get 21. All right, and again, this is one that's tougher to do mentally, so I would show your work to figure this out. We have to get x by itself, so I have to get rid of everything else around it. So the opposite of positive 6 is going to be negative 6. So I'm going to subtract that from both sides. This is going to cancel out because 6 minus 6 is 0. And I'm going to bring down everything I haven't used. Do not forget to bring down that subtraction or that negative sign. So then I'm left with 21 minus 6 to get me 15. Now I'm going to, the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. It's going to cross out. So I'm left with x is going to equal 15 divided by negative 3, which is going to be negative 5. So again, let's plug negative 5 back into our equation to see if that works. So we're going to say just 6 minus 3 times negative 5. Is that going to get us 21? So let's see, just 6 minus a negative 15 equal 21. Well, we know that 2 minus signs make an addition sign, and then we know 21 is going to equal 21, so that checks out. So my answer is negative 5. My last example is I'm going to be combining like terms. So if you notice, if you have two variables, y and y, we can combine them together if it's the same variable. Think of our previous chapters when we combine like terms. It's going to be very similar. So we can think of, before we even solve for a variable, let's combine it together. So we're at negative 2y plus y. So it's going to be negative 1y. is minus 5 is going to equal 11. Notice, so we're thinking negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So now, and again, you don't even need to include that 1 because 1 times any number is just itself. So we can even just write this as negative y, but I'll leave the 1 there. So again, let's get rid of everything surrounding the variable. The opposite of negative 5 is positive 5, so let's add 5 to both sides. Let's bring down what we didn't use. Negative 1y is going to equal 16. And then so negative 1y, so then I'm going to divide by itself. So then positive y is going to equal negative 16. Again, we don't want to include our negative y. We want to make it positive, so that's why we have to divide both sides by negative 1. And then again, please plug negative 16 back into your equation. In this case, you got to plug it into both values to make sure that you did this right. Please, please, please do this. You're able to know right away if you did the problem right or wrong, especially on tests and quizzes. Please make sure you do that. But for time's sake, I'm not going to do that for you. I think hopefully by the end of this video, you're able to figure that out. And that's it. Thanks for watching.